Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. I hope this finds you well. Caspa has been continuing up since the last video I uploaded. As you can see, it has flipped the midline, so that's positive. We were hoping for that. And now we are looking to see if it can turn this descending channel into support. That's what we would like to see now. We'd like to see it come up and turn this into support, which will increase the odds that Caspa is ready to continue up to the upside, potentially a full Fibonacci extension, 4.236 to around 50 cents. And Caspa has done it before. It's done it before. For example, on this last accumulation phase, it got to the 4.236, 14 cents. That was a target of mine back in early 2023, once it put in the bottom here. And I began looking to the upside again. So it's not really too surprising that we are seeing this. We can see over and over again these descending channels. It just takes time to kind of build enough support and kind of get down to lower Fibonacci extensions. Like here we got the 236, and then that held as support. Eventually we continued higher. And once we break out of these channels, as it has done over and over again, first the midline begins to act as support, then the top of it begins to act as support, and it just provides a base for it to go higher. So we are getting that now. Additionally, if you put a Fibonacci on this range, you'll also see that Caspa is in fact testing, as it did in 2023. It's testing the 0.236. So as you can see right here, testing the 0.236 Fibonacci retracement level. This time it was at 2 cents. This time it is at 10.7 cents. So there are a number of confluences indicating that like upward price action is likely. We also have we can also look at timing. We can look at the length of this accumulation phase, and we can see when it really broke out was to new highs. It was 216 days from the April 2023 peak, and currently from the November 2023 peak, we are not yet at 216 days. 216 days would put us into sometime in June, late June, mid-June, maybe July. We'll see what happens. But at that point, hey, maybe Caspa's pumping again to new highs. Maybe it's breaking out above 18 cents. We'll see. It could happen sooner, could happen later, but the only point I'm trying to make here is that time-wise, everything looks perfectly fine and perfectly normal, timing-wise, just looking at the past. So that's positive. That's positive. And then getting a feel for the overall market sentiment. Today, Bitcoin is down, Caspa is up. So that's interesting to see. We can see that Bitcoin has been dropping, potentially back down to the lower end of this channel. Meanwhile, Caspa has been pumping, and it's above the midline on its channel. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is below the midline. So, hey, that's nice to see, right? So Caspa is outperforming Bitcoin. Yesterday, it was also the top gainer of all top 100 coins on CoinMarketCap. So that is nice to see. I think that Caspa outperformed everything in the bear market. So other coins and tokens needed to kind of catch up. In a bull market, people just put money once the market is obviously bullish, people just go around and they put money into things that are suppressed and depressed, that haven't pumped. And then that's why everything pumps. But once everything gets pumped pretty high, then the risk to reward is no longer so good on those things. And people will then either scale out or they'll rotate money into things that are looking like they're overdue on a pump. So since Caspa had been going sideways for a good long time, like almost half a year, essentially, without putting in new highs, meanwhile other things were catching up, all of a sudden Caspa is looking more attractive, I think, to people, especially given the fundamentals. So I think people want to get out of when the market looks uncertain, like maybe it does right now to people, where it's at the peak and people are contemplating if it's peaking here, a triple peak potentially. People don't necessarily want to have their money in, degen plays and meme coins and things that have no value, that they were just trading just because they were overdue for a pump. So I think when that happens, people begin to scale out. And as you can see, a lot of things are kind of losing steam. Meanwhile, Caspa is just beginning to show some strength here potentially, especially if it can get above this channel, and then things are going to be like ready to rock again, So that's what we're hoping for on Caspa. And I think that might be why we saw Caspa as a top performer yesterday. So that's just my opinion. And then just to get a feel for the sentiment of the direction of the capital flow in the markets, looking at the U.S. stock market, the S&P 500, interestingly enough, it tested the bull market support band. Apologies for the sound in the background. It tested the bull market support band and it is continuing higher. As you can see, there are other instances where this happens. When it's breaking out, test, continues up. This time it really rocketed up before it came and tested it. So now it's testing it and it's above the previous high. It's possible that the S&P 500 won't come down and test the previous all-time high. It'll just keep continuing up to higher Fibonacci extensions like the 1.618, and hopefully eventually it goes as high as the 2.618. And if that happens, it's going to just be good for the crypto market and Bitcoin, and eventually also Caspa. It's going to be good for everything. So we keep an eye on the S&P 500 always, and just kind of get a feel for where that's headed. As you can see, it just looks good. It's nice to see that this level is being respected and it's pumping. If it comes back down, even if it goes sideways for a bit and it builds support, it'll just take longer. And what we don't want to see is we don't want to see it fall below, and we don't want to see it turning this into resistance. And on Caspa, we also want to see it pop above these moving averages and turn them into support. So once it pops above, you can see it often comes back and back tests it, and that usually is the best time to buy it. So also when you're under the moving averages, obviously the risk is lower in a lot of ways. Even though it feels more risky, it's hard to imagine things going up again. When it falls below the bull market support band, as long as the overall trend is bullish, then buying is potentially lower risk. There are instances, of course, where, for example, Bitcoin will, I'll just show it on Bitcoin. It happens on other assets too, not just Bitcoin. But when it falls below and it begins to backtest like this, and that's eventually where you see the bottoms come in, somewhere below after a bunch of backtests. But as of now, because Bitcoin is in a clear bull market, we are looking, we can see that those tests of, on the weekly time frame, those tests of the bull market support band on a weekly time frame are bullish. Those are an opportunity to buy when it comes down. So we are seeing that right here. We saw it here. Big wick off of it on the weekly. We are also seeing it right here. A big wick off of it. So as of now, I can't really make the case that things are looking bearish. And sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. But right now we're watching, and the momentum seems to be toward the upside. So the retests are potentially buying opportunities. Obviously, not financial advice. That's just my opinion and how I'm navigating the market here. And so for that reason, and because I believe Caspa is undervalued fundamentally, I think it has much more upside. And every asset, even the ones that are high value assets, like obviously Bitcoin has been one of the best performers the past 14 years. They all have periods of downward price action. So don't let price action sway you in your opinion of something. If you have confidence and believe in the fundamentals, these sideways accumulation ranges are just opportunities. That's the way to view it. And if you zoom out on Caspa, you can see that the overall trend has been very bullish. It's a beautiful chart, and I think just technically, 50 cents makes sense on the next swing. But as far as the bull market goes, I think that potentially as high as $1 to $5 is all fair game, really, especially with smart contracts coming and the switch to 10 blocks per second. It's pretty much everything Satoshi had hoped for Bitcoin. And the fundamentals are there. Fair launched, proof of work, should be immune to any regulatory issues like that we've seen in other things like XRP and whatever, SEC going after stuff. You wouldn't really see that in Caspa, and that's one of the reasons I got interested in it early on, like last, over the bear market, because it just felt safer. And for me, it offered a good upside, but also a good risk to reward ratio. Like for me, it's also about capital preservation. I didn't want to put my money into something that could potentially face some like regulatory issues. So since it's a fair launch proof of work, exactly the same as Bitcoin in that sense, it felt like a good play. And then just technically speaking, it's scalable. It's stateless money that can scale. It's true electronic cash. And I think a lot of people who've been in crypto for a long time can see that. I think they can see that. And I first bought it right here at half a cent, half a cent. This is where I first bought Caspa. I eventually rotated everything into it, even the Bitcoin I was holding, because I just felt that the risk to reward was way better than anything else. And even though price is going sideways, if you got into it up here, I can't say what you should do because everyone's situation is different. But just look at this. It's really not atypical, and if you believe that Caspa is undervalued like I do, just, whatever helps you sleep at night. For me, I sleep well at night holding Caspa. And for me, it's the best bet I can find in crypto right now. I'm really not interested in anything else. I'm like 99.5% Caspa, So that's how I'm playing it. I scaled out at the top of the market in 2021 in August. I missed the second peak slightly, but I scaled out, and then I waited for Bitcoin to get back down to the 200-week moving average, which is the, for example, the purple line right here. You know, so I scaled out up in here, waited for it to come down here, started entering the market here with Bitcoin mainly, a little bit of other stuff. And then when I found Caspa, I just put it all into that. A little over time, you know, all my holdings rotate into that. And so now I'm just kind of in the market, and I'm not ready to get out yet here. I'll ride this until I feel like Bitcoin is potentially peaking. And hopefully you guys appreciate the content. And you know, as always, like drop comments in the description if you guys want to see anything, you want me to expand on anything. I'll do my best to accommodate. But also, really, if you guys want to learn technical analysis, you know, feel free to drop into the Ski Bum Trading Discord, which you'll find a link in the description below. And I put up charts a lot there and answer questions if you have any questions about technical analysis. And also put up my buys and sells. So when I'm scaling out of the market, I'm gonna put my levels there. So and offer my personal like strategy for getting out and what I'm looking for. So that is all in the description below. If you want to just support the channel, feel free to click the heart at the bottom, and you know, feel free to give a donation if you like the content but don't want to, you know, get into the Discord. Although I think the Discord is better. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully you found it helpful. Keep those edges sharp. Have a good day. Until next time.